Good evening, everyone. Kind of everything up in the wrong order already. Great start. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sim Experience Alwin 2022 Porsche Supercup. Having a little bit of technical issues here, so give me a moment while I hopefully get this to work. Alright, let's try that again and hopefully we're good. So, welcome to the 2022 Alwin Porsche Supercup, round 1 from Albert Park in Melbourne, Australia. The Porsche Supercup generally follows the Formula 1 calendar, so we are trying to mimic that as best we can with Formula 1 tracks. So round 1 comes to us from Australia. So it's a new series. We are heading into qualifying. It's pretty much the same format as the BMW Cup that we had. For those that didn't watch that, it is a 30-minute official practice, a 15-minute qualifying, and a 30-minute race format. So we are currently in qualifying. Alright, so here we go. 14 guys currently on track. I believe one of the drivers is unfortunately having a technical issue, or technically there's 2 drivers having a technical issue. And that is Jean-Andre de Toyen, currently in 4th place. He's not seeing everyone, so if Jean-Andre can hear this, perhaps he needs to disconnect and reconnect, and hopefully he will be okay. You can still reconnect during qualifying. You cannot join once it gets into race mode. Alright, so currently Basil van Rijn is our pace setter, and our Basil of course is racing our MX-5 Cup and is the current championship leader there. So he's one of the drivers that converts to pretty much any sim and seems to be pretty fast at the moment in Melbourne. Right, so Basil coming across the line with a 2 minutes 0432. And locking up the rear. These cars are extremely difficult to drive. There's a certain technique to them. You need to slow down, let the revs drop, then you need to blip the throttle. If you don't do that quite right, you have that happening where the rear end locks up. And of course, being the Porsche configuration, the rear end's where it is, with the engine where it is, the weight just comes around on you. In the practice and all the sessions before this that the guys were practicing on the server, we have seen times of 158s. I believe Jason was the only driver in the 158s. There were several drivers in the 159s. So currently we have Basil van Rijn, I think the only driver that has a truly representative time at the moment, from Monet, from Jason Underwood from Andre Hildebrandt. Andre Hildebrandt fresh from his virtual SA GT race today. He did very well there. I think he finished probably 9th or 10th overall there, so congratulations to Andre. That was a great showing today. We have in 5th place Mr. Besson. He's had problems with his skin, so thankfully he's at least made it here. Now, I'm not sure why we're only seeing one car. It's supposed to be moving around, so I will move the cameras around and hopefully it sorts itself out. It seems to be very jerky at the moment, so I'm not too sure why that is, so apologies for that. So Marius and Veek currently in 6th place, Harvey is currently 7th, Rion van der Westhuizen currently in 8th. In 9th place we have Stan Bezednoot. He's been able to join us, so welcome Stan to your first rFactor race. We have Jandre Duppenaar currently in 10th place, Barney Stander in 11th, Chris Collison in 12th, and Gilly Silver has also joined us. Welcome Gilly. And Barney Stander jumping up to 4th and quickly opposed by Jandre Duppenaar. Jason Underwood is currently our provisional pole sitter on a 159.7. So we see the rear end coming around there. I'm not sure who that was. Our skins for some reason do not seem to be correct tonight. I am not sure why that is. It seems like the drivers are in the incorrect cars. Drivers actually have skins, but they don't seem to have selected them correctly. So perhaps we'll have that correct for the next round. So they should look quite different. Oh, he's reversing into traffic. So that's Donnie Stander. Going to just turn off the timing just briefly, just to see if that does make a difference. The overlays can cause a stutter sometimes, so there are two ways to run it. The second way is meant to reduce the stutter, so this track seems to be stuttering in this mode of viewing it for some reason. Yeah, so with or without them, so unfortunately nothing I can do about that currently. I believe it could just be because the track is a higher quality. I believe it's a conversion from one of the Formula 1 titles. Right, so Donnie with a terrible first sector, but a much faster middle sector, but he unfortunately won't improve. So at the moment we have Jason Underwood currently on a 158.9, so in the 58s like he was during the week. Basil van Rijn currently in 2nd place on a 1.4 seconds down. So at the moment the driver's skins for some reason do not look like they should. Rian's skin looks very odd at the moment. It's there as we see him hitting the barrier, but it seems to have a gloss layer over it, so something has gone wrong with it. It's actually a Jack Daniels skin, which looks pretty fantastic. So for some reason the side of the car looks a bit wonky, but the bonnet looks pretty good, and the roof. But also he's not in his actual car. I think a lot of the drivers are going to be struggling with the way that this car can catch you out, but as a result it can actually make for some fantastic racing. It has, I guess you could say, a much longer braking zone, which means it gives you a chance to make a pass, but it also means it can come around of you if you try too hard to take advantage of that. So I think the drivers that are going to have a bit more patience on the brakes could actually be the guys that benefit the most. and you definitely have to blip the throttle on a downshift. You can sometimes get away without the blip if you shift at very, very low revs, but you don't want to shift too low. You kind of want to shift in the middle of the rev range with a bit of a blip. That's much faster than letting it drop down to sort of like a third or a quarter of the rev range. We have a yellow in sector 2 at the moment. Not sure who's caused that, as we see Rian getting a nice little slide on there. Good evening to Lynn Sevenster in the comments. Our first comment for the evening. Welcome. As you see, Hannes Bisson having a moment at the end, which I'm sure we're going to see several of those. So I'm expecting lap times to drop a little bit more than what they are at the moment. At the moment, we currently have Andre Hildebrand sitting solid in 4th, so that's a good showing from Andre. Gilly Silver in 5th, Morris and Vake in 6th, Donny Stunder 7th, Stan Besadenote a solid 8th place at the moment. Monet is currently in 9th, Hannes is currently in 10th, Harvey Coase 11th, Rian is in 12th. Chris Collison hasn't yet set a time, and Jean-Andre de Toy is in 14th. I'm not sure if he would have solved this problem. He had a problem in the game, unfortunately he's had a bit of bugs. For those that aren't completely tech savvy, the game had an update, it caused many problems, so we actually have gone back to a previous version of the game. But I think in doing so it's also got certain bugs. You see Monet losing it there. Guys will obviously be pushing a lot harder in qualifying. Hopefully in the race they take it easy and just make sure they survive. As we see some of the track pieces lying on the track there. I believe that was one of the brake markers. So hopefully Andre de Choi doesn't have any issues driving now that he's joined again. So I'm going to see if we can perhaps spot him on the track. We can indeed see him, so hopefully he can see everyone else. He had a problem where he couldn't see anyone. So at the moment he is on the track, he's driving, we can see him. He's now set the 3rd fastest time, so that was a good lap time there. On my end it just looks like it's stuttering a lot. I'm not sure if the stream is showing it at all. I hope it's not. Seems to be a day of fighting technology. All kinds of technical issues throughout the day today. So, will anyone challenge Jason now? Chris had given us a heads up that he would be the driver to beat in this. But at the moment he is a long way ahead of Basil van Rijn. Basil has done a faster time than that in the practice session, so I'm expecting Basil to at some point put it all together. But that is a very competitive lap time. Alright, so I believe that is the end of qualifying. As we see the drivers pushing the limits. We see Hannes coming around the back end there of Stan. So some of our drivers have already pitted. Basil van Rijn is in the pits. Jandre Dippenaar is pitted. Morris and Baker's pitted. And Bezedenote is pitted, Garvigos is pitted, so those drivers cannot improve. What is this? Han is coming on. He's got his personal best sector in sector 2. I don't know if he's going to improve because his first sector looked a little bit off. He's got Morris and Blake behind him. Recognize the Rothmans colours. See them both sliding off in the final corner as the qualifying is now officially over. I think Gilly Silver is still on the lap, so we can see if we can catch him. No, he has. But okay, so everyone has now finished. So we can have a look at the qualifying results. So taking pole position is Jason Underwood from Basil van Rijn, Jean-Ray de Toy, Jan-Ray Duppenaar, Andre Hildebrandt, Chris Collison, Dani Stander, Gilly Silver, Rian van der Westhuizen, and Marius van Wyk. As we see a replay of a car rolling, that is Marius. And in 11th place we have Stan Bezedenote, in 12th we have Monet, in 13th Hannes Besson, and in 14th Garvigos. Alright, so we will now head off to a ad break and we will be back with you shortly. Welcome back everyone to the Sim Experience round 1 of our 2022 championship, which for some reason is showing the wrong things. I am going to jump to this, excuse me for that. Round 1 of the 2022 Alwin Porsche Supercup, coming to you live from Albert Park in Australia. Just come out of qualifying, so we'll now be heading into a 30-minute race. I'm your commentator Dennis Mitchell, your broadcast director is Sim Experience SA. Let us have a look at our starting order. So, taking pole position was Jason Underwood from Basil van Rijn, from Jean-Ray de Toy from Jan-Ray Duppenaar. In 5th place we have Andre Hildebrandt. In 6th place we have Chris Collison, in 7th Dani Stander, in 8th place Gilly Silver. Apologies about the incorrect graphics there, not sure those snuck in. Rian van der Westhuizen in 9th, in 10th place Marius van Wyk, 11th place Stan Bezedenote, and in 12th place Monet. In 13th place, Hannes Besson, and in 14th place, Harvey Hoos. So having all kinds of technical problems with weird issues, so apologies about the graphics, that's just yet another one to tick off the list. And we'll make sure that is all sorted for the following rounds. Unfortunately, we sometimes have these odd things that pop up and give you these weird issues, so that's another one for the book. Right, as the drivers now heading to the line, it will be a standing start, so they are currently on their formation lap. And in the background we see one of the drivers already going off. I'm not too sure who that was. We have also lost one of the drivers, and I believe I'm totally lost as to who it is. I'm not too sure who we've lost. My apologies to everyone. Right, so the drivers coming around the final sector, last two corners, as we see the leaders coming around there. They will form up on the grid. Wait for the timer, I think it's a timer, probably a 10-second timer. Wait for that to count down once everyone has formed, and we will then be on our way. The drivers doing what looks like a brake test where they accelerate and brake to try and generate some heat in the brakes, tires, everything they can. We see some of the drivers with the headlights on already. I believe that's Chris Collison with his headlights on. Seven seconds to go, 5 seconds to go, the lights coming on. And we're away. Great start there by Basil. I'm not sure what's happening, but it looks like his car is smoking away, so I'm not sure if he has an issue, but it looks like he has an engine failure. I'm not sure if that will clear. Maybe it's just heat, or maybe his engine is about to blow. I believe that's the end of his engine. It is Basil van Rijn. It looks like he has destroyed his engine on the outlap. That is a great shame. It's one of our top contenders. So currently Jason Underwood, who had just lost the lead at the start, has now retaken the lead because of Basil's retirement. Go on board with Yandre Duppenaar, currently in chase mode. You see him chasing down Jason Underwood. Fantastic sounds of these cars. So we have a yellow flag in sector 2. Looks like he's currently sticking with Jason. A lot of steering rock there in the second and last corner. Quite a tight corner, but I didn't expect to see so much steering rock. So So fastest lap of a 2:09 here for Jason Underwood. And in third place, Yonder de Toys at the fastest middle and final sector. So perhaps we can go on board with Yonder. Because Yonder and the Yonder mixed up. Catching that very nicely there, getting over the curb, getting a bit of a slide on. The first lap or two with this car, you've got to really let the tyres warm up. Looks like he's lost quite a lot of ground now. Let me see, they're in sector 1, I'm not too sure who that might be. Let's go back down the field slightly, let's have a look at Donny Stande. A bit of a battle here. Very fast, it's dangerous to shift down like that. You definitely want to shift down a bit slower. Let's go further ahead and have a look at Morris and Blake, who's chasing down Chris Collison at the moment. So Chris Collison actually struggling slightly in these cars. He was extremely fast in the BMWs. Don't think he's taken well to these cars. As we see Marius van Beek now challenging him. Van Beek is a big Porsche fan, as you see Marius losing it. Will he hold it? Oh, managing to just hang on to it, but unfortunately clipping the wall and losing a place. And that is Donny Stander that has now snuck past him. That is the danger with these cars. One of our yellow flags was caused by Gilly Silver. He's now down in 12th place of the year, Marius on the limiter. Hildebrandt is currently in 4th place, so he's doing really well. Andre seems to be having a good day so far. Hopefully I don't jinx him. Certainly doing well in these cars. Andre has a knack of doing well in cars that are really difficult to drive. I remember the one time we drove Formula V's at the classic Kyalami with the standard setups, and he was one of the fastest drivers in that. So doing really good at the moment, a solid 4th place. Holding in with Chris Collison behind. Now Chris Collison, I believe, was our runner-up in the BMW Championship, which just concluded a week ago. So not doing too shabby to hold off Chris at the moment. Chris and his teammate Jason Underwood, they were 1 and 2 in the BMW Cup. Alright, let's go and see what's happening. As we see, Marius van Beek is currently chasing down Donny Stander. Floating with the slides there, touching the dirt. So a nice three-way battle here at the moment. Chris Collison, Donny Stander and Marius van Beek. Look further down the field, one of our new drivers, Gilly Silver, he had a bit of an incident early in the race. He's actually making his way forward at quite a nice rate at the moment. He was 12th a lap or so ago, and he's already up to 9th place. So he unfortunately has a bit of a gap now to the rest of the pack. Getting a nice slide on there. Right, let's go down the pack and see where everyone else is. Let's have a look at Rian van der Veste. He's also having a pretty decent race at the moment in 8th place. He, of course, has a fantastic livery, the Jack Daniels livery. Getting the limiter a bit off in there. He's got to be careful of that as well with the engine damage that we saw Basil van Rijn occur in Enkhuizen, sorry. So currently, Marius van Wyk is the driver that has the best battle at the moment, sitting right behind Dani Stander and Chris Collison fairly close. I believe if he were to get past Dani, he might be able to go a fraction faster, but it's maybe just a bit difficult as we see him getting all out of shape. Oh my word, he's going to spin around now. Will he keep it on the road? That was very lucky. If you're going to spin, that's the way to do it. Wow, he was lucky there. Alright, unfortunately he's now lost out on that. So let's have a look at Jean-Ray de Toy, currently pretty close to Jandre Duppenaar. And with Andre Hildebrand not too far behind them. So this is actually quite a nice battle for second place effectively. So let's just keep an eye on the gaps between Andre, Jandre and Jandre. It looks like Jason Underwood is just clearing off. He's done the fastest lap of the race. 2 minutes 00.9. So the next fastest looks to be a 202.8. Oh, sorry, 202.5 by Andre Hildebrand. So Andre Hildebrand's currently got the second fastest time. So doing really good at the moment. I think Andre's on a high from today's results. So let's have a look. We seem to have Gilly Silver going back and forward, so he seems to have the pace but then makes mistakes. So I think also getting to grips with this. I think he's just jumped in. He's got to still learn the car a bit. Let's have a look at Hannes Besson. Also in a nice three-way battle here. He's in the sandwich between Monet and Gilly. So Gilly carrying lots of momentum there, getting on the curb with his headlights blazing. Take a fair amount of curb in some corners with a nice slide there. You do have to be careful of track limits in some parts of the track. The chicane that we're coming to now is one of those parts. If you cut it on the left here, you do get a track warning. Oh, it's brave going around the outside there. That is very brave. Managing to make it stick. I think Hannes probably gave him just enough room there. So Hannes being nice and compliant there. So let's see if Gilly can now catch up to Monet and make a move. So currently we have one or two fairly close battles, but not too much happening. So the fastest first sector currently set by Jandre Duppenaar. Is Jandre Duppenaar finally getting into gear? Whenever I see a slow-mo, I sort of panic that it might be a problem, but sometimes the cameras just go into slow-mo because there's some other incident happening without changing cameras. So Marius van Wyk currently with a penalty. I'm not sure what that would be for, but maybe it is for track limits. And I'm not too sure what kind of penalty he would have got. So it might be a drive-through, but it also might be a stop and go, depending what the penalty was for. So let's go have a look at Marius van Wyk, since we see this gap is not as close as we would like it yet. It's getting there. Morris and Blake currently in 7th place, ahead of his old sparring buddy Rian van der Westhuizen. They've been racing together for many years. Oh, as he loses it. Seems to really be struggling in that part of the track. That's now the second time we've seen him lose it as he comes around the right-hander into the left-hander. Right, let's see, what penalty is he serving? Is it a drive-through or is it a stop and go? I'll keep an eye on anything else happening on the track at the moment. There are no really close battles apart from Chris Collison and Donnie Stunder, so we'll head to that in a moment. So he looks like he is doing a drive-through penalty. So hopefully that is the correct penalty he served. Sometimes the guys don't serve the correct penalty. Alright, so we're on board now with Chris Collison chasing down Donnie Stunder. Donnie Stunder also having a solid race, currently in 5th place. So we're seeing drivers that we don't usually see higher up the field. We see Donnie losing it, but managing to stay within striking range. So Chris managing to steal 5th place from Donnie. Will Donnie be able to fight back? Let's go down the pack and have a look at some of the other drivers. So currently in 12th place we have Javi Goos. Unfortunately his skin is not showing. He actually has quite a nice skin, one of the replicas of his real world skins. He always runs that, number 13, but for some reason it's not showing. And we see Monet in 10th place, chasing down, I believe that's Morris and Blake in front of him after Morris has served his penalty. Morris's car is looking a little bit crumpled, so from all the impact he's definitely sustained some damage. So Donnie Stunder still challenging Chris as we see Chris losing the rear end slightly there and Donnie closing in now. Let's go on board with Donnie. Yeah, Chris just hitting the limiter. Do we have an incident? We're slow-mo with Morris. Looks like he's heading for the wall. Definitely. So Morris not getting along well with this track and the car at the moment, and he's usually very good with the Porsche. Showing that he's got some speed, but definitely is struggling. Right, so let's go back to Donnie. Sure why the camera won't change, but let's stop in slow motion. Apologies for this. Nice close battle between them at the moment. Nice to see Donnie having a decent result. So once we go on board a little bit more with Donnie Stunder, yeah, we can then go and have a look at the battle for 2nd place between Andre Dippenaar and Jean-Ray de Toy, the two PZM panel beater drivers. I think the driver that we lost was Stan Bezednote. I just realized that he's not in the race at the moment, so unfortunately I think we lost him. So sorry for Stan to be joining the first race only to lose out. So looking at the YouTube comments, we have Caroline Yost as well saying good evening everyone and good luck to Andre. Right, so speaking of Yandre, let's have a look at Yandre du Toit. Gap looks like it's actually increased slightly. I'm not sure if my eyes deceive me, but it definitely has. I'm not sure if he has a problem. He seems to be very slow. It just sounded very sort of lethargic there, but now it seems to be okay. Maybe he was just messing with what we have just past the halfway mark. Right, back with the Dhani Thunder and Chris Collison battle. There seems to be a battle going on all the way. So Jean-Andre Victor definitely slowing down. The gap between himself and Jean-Andre has now got to almost 6 seconds, whereas it was about a second a lap ago. So something has definitely happened there. We'll see, maybe he will put to do something. Oh, we see Dhani Thunder hitting Chris there. So we've been caught out by Chris just hitting the brakes. I think we're going to see a replay of it by the looks of things. No, we're going to see Gilly Silver getting quite a slide on here. And into the barrier. Definitely a difficult track for these cars. Some of the tracks are going to be fantastic, like Monza. This track is very fun when you get it right, but it can really bite you in these cars. Right, so this battle seems to be going on, and Gilly Silver is currently behind Rian van der Vestes, and let's have a look at that battle. So looking forward, with 10 minutes to go at Rian van der Vestes, who's currently in 7th place, Gilly Silver now in 8th place. So we have a nice battle for 5th place, we have a nice battle for 7th place. We have a battle kind of developing as well for 9th place between Monet and Hannes. Really getting in the dirt a little bit too much there. Jason Under with the fastest lap time at 2:00.2. Slightly there. Just a little bit of a rub, that's fine, you can get away with that. And that you don't get away with. That was unfortunate. Alright, so let's have a look at Dhani's Thunder battle again. These two are having a good dice, and Dhani now loses it, as I say, that commentator's curse. Dhani Standard clearly has some pace here at the moment, but struggling to keep it all together. So Jason Underwood is currently just cruising away from everyone. Not much of a challenge at the moment from the current drivers of this track. I'm sure some of the tracks the guys are going to be coming from, but at the moment no one's really challenging him. So Yandre Dippenaar, I'm sure, will get much stronger as the season goes on, as well as he gets more familiar with the car. I'm sure many of the drivers will, to be honest. I guess most surprised that Chris is struggling so much, seeing how good Chris was in the BMWs and seeing the testing that we've done with the British Touring Car series that we're going to be hosting following this Porsche Cup. Chris has been one of the top drivers in everything apart from this. So Chris really struggling at the moment with these cars. Let's see Harvey House now. Andre Hildebrandt in a solid fourth place, currently 10 seconds ahead of Chris Collison. So this could be a very solid championship for Andre Hildebrandt. So unfortunately we've had a few technical issues tonight, and we might even have some drivers that didn't join due to load shedding. Unfortunately we have to go on at some point, so we can't wait forever. Some of the drivers just are away and haven't been able to join. Oh, see Marius going wide there. Now Marius van Wyk was also showing some good pace, unfortunately just having a few too many offs. Currently we see Hannes Besson. And a penalty for Rian van der Westhuizen. And what has Rian done? Could it be track limits? Let's have a look. See Rian here now. Rian in a solid 7th place at the moment. Gilly Silva behind him. Is that going to also be a drive-through penalty like Marius van Wyk had, or will that be a stop-go? If it's a drive-through penalty, I think Marius lost about 12 to 14 seconds if I was getting that correctly. And we have Javi Koos also now with a penalty. So Rian serving his penalty. Let's see what sort of a gap he will lose. He had about a 2-second gap on Gilly Silva, so let's see what the gap will be to Gilly Silva once he's finished. Painfully slow coming down the pit lane here. So Dhani Stander still trying his best to catch Chris Collison. As we see Rian leaving the pits, he actually lost quite a lot there, almost 20 seconds. So I guess the pit lane penalty is a lot more than I expected, but it was a drive-through, not a stop and go, so that is at least one bit of good news. Which means we'll probably have a drive-through for Javi Koos as well. So 3 minutes left to go. We have Jason Underwood currently in the lead. Coming up to lap one of the drivers. I'm not sure this, or actually two of the drivers. That I believe is Marius van Wyk and Hannes Besson that he's coming up to back off. Let's actually go on board and get a bit of a review of this. not too many battles happening throughout the field at the moment. Unfortunately, the gaps are all quite large. The yellow in sector 2, I'm not sure who that is. So in the pits at the moment we have Dani Stunder. Was that for a penalty? I didn't see that pop up unless it popped up while I was looking away. It is a drive-through, so it must have been a penalty. In the pits for 17.5 seconds. So thankfully Dani didn't lose his place. He had enough of a gap to serve the penalty and still maintain the 6th place. And we see Hannes just losing it there. Hopefully he doesn't get stuck in the sand. We just need to be a little bit slower there. We have a DNF for Rian van der Vestes, and unfortunately just being hit by load shedding, he's informed me. So that is a real shame. Rian was actually having quite a good race. We will still get points at least for, by the looks of things, at least 12th place, possibly even 11th place. Depending on how many laps Harvey Coast had on him. I think they were both one down, so it will probably be points for 12th place. And they're slowing down, I'm not sure why. And the race isn't over, hopefully he hasn't been caught out by that. Some of the drivers definitely seem to be struggling a lot more than others, especially with the downshifts. I think it could also be the way that the sim is set up for them. The server is allowing certain things enabled, but if the driver has certain things turned off, they could also struggle a lot more. We try and set things as real as possible, so with what the real car has, we try and run, but some of the drivers prefer to run things completely off. So we have Jason Underwood coming around to finish his final lap, and in the background we see Harvey Coase almost losing it. So Jason coming across the line in a moment as it comes to the second last corner. The final corner. Making it look easy tonight. Flashing his lights. That was a great win there for Jason. Well done, Jason. As we see the rest of the pack coming across the line. Andre Duppenaar taking a solid 2nd place. We saw Harvey Coase there as well. Jean-Andre de Toy coming across the line taking a solid 3rd place. So Chris Collison currently, is that Andre Hildebrand right behind him? It is indeed. Will Andre Hildebrand challenge for 4th place? He was in 4th place at one point, or has Chris actually managed to get past Andre? That's the question. I think it looks like Andre has maybe drifted backwards towards Chris rather than Chris moving forward to Andre. Oh, Andre loses it there. I think he was going to try and make a move for the final corner, but just not quite panning out. So 4th place, Chris Collison. 5th place, Andre Hildebrand. In 6th place, we have Dani Stunder. In the background, I believe that's... It looked like Marius van Wyk, but it shows it should be Gilly Silver in the background. No, I think that's a bit too far back. So, Dani Stunder coming across the line. A solid 6th place for Dani Stunder. And that is indeed Gilly Silver behind him. 7th place for Gilly Silver. Let's head off to see Monet, as Monet is coming across in the final sector now. Monet is the last driver on the lead lap. Over here I'm hitting the limiter there. You have to be so careful with these cars hitting the limiter. You definitely don't want to do that too much and damage the engine. So Monet coming across the line to take 8th place. So Marius van Wyk has taken 9th place. Let's have a look at our final results. So these are the official results. So we have Jason Underwood taking the win from Yandre Duppenaar, from Jean-Ray de Toy, from Chris Collison, Andre Hildebrandt, Donnie Stander, Gilly Silver in 7th place, Monet in 8th place, Marius van Wyk in 9th place, Hannes Besson in 10th place. In 11th place we have Harvey Goos, Rian van der Westhuizen in 12th place, and Basil van Rijn, unfortunately with the blown engine, only gets 13th place. So we will now head off to an ad break, which we will then be back with our top 3 drivers if we can get hold of them, and we will be back with you shortly.
On, brother. Go on, that one.
I did it. I'll just say that's probably the most difficult car I've ever driven in my life.
No, exactly. You're really difficult.
Welcome back, everyone. We are now joined by our top 3 drivers for round 1 from the 2022 Alwin Porsche Supercup. So I don't know why, but we have the totally wrong graphic showing up here. So apologies for that. It is not the graphic we are meant to be seeing. We should, in fact, be seeing a graphic that shows that Jason Underwood has now taken the victory. So Jason, well done for your victory tonight. It was quite a devastating blow to your competition. You just left everyone standing there.
Yeah, it was a nice race. Pity something went wrong with Basil in the beginning. But yeah, I just kept it facing forward and just keeping the revs as low down as possible to get rid of that happy rear end these Porsches have got. But yeah, other than that, it was nice. It was nice and a nice learning race, for these new cars. I mean, there's still so much to learn. But yeah, congrats to PZM panel beaters for taking up the last 2 spots. Yeah, well done to everyone.
And speaking about PZM panel beaters and sponsors and teams, you have now changed your team, so you're no longer in the 4 above team. Would you like to explain your sponsor and your team?
Yeah, so we're very fortunate enough to be to get a sponsor on board from Team Hard in the UK. They run a British touring car team. So we are a side affiliated team from that British touring car team. So 4 above racing will always be in our hearts. But yeah, on to new ventures with Team Harder Racing for the future. So Chris and I will be representing Team Harder for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, hopefully Chris's races get a bit harder. He seemed to be struggling quite a lot tonight.
Yeah, it was the first time in the car, and but he'll be back. Knowing Chris, he's quick enough. He'll learn the car, and he'll be back trying to steal one more podium position off our rivals over there.
Yeah, that would be good to see.
Yeah.
All right, then in second place we have Yandre Dippenaar, our first of our PZN panel beater drivers. So Yandre, you had quite a good race again, good pace. Unfortunately, your teammate Basil blowing his engine effectively just before the race started. So I presume he just warmed up the car a bit too much on the formation lap. But he got a great start, but it was smoking before that, and then after that you just took your second spot and you stayed there pretty much the whole race.
Yeah, I stayed there. It's a pity about Basil. Yeah, and then I was very conservative in this race because this car is so difficult to drive. So yeah, Jandre gave me a hard time, but luckily I managed to get second.
And then well done as well to Jandre on your third place. That was a superb drive from yourself as well. So a solid race for you, and you're also having some technical difficulties at the start to clear your head and end up with a podium. So great race from you. How was the race from your point of view?
Yeah, this car is quite difficult to drive, and yeah, I had no intention to really battle Yandre for his spot, but I was just waiting for him to kind of make a mistake. But then I ended up making some couple of mistakes and fell back. But yeah, this car is difficult to drive, so yeah. But it was a fun race, and we'll see how the future goes.
The car is definitely a handful. We saw many guys losing it, dropping the rear in the corners. So yeah, you're not the only one struggling. Some of the guys really struggled. I think Jason was about the only guy and maybe Yandre that didn't really have any serious problems. Pretty much everyone else was at some point or other sliding the car and fighting it. So it looked like quite a handful. But well done to PZN panel beaters for your double podium. It was a great result for you guys. And of course, next week we head at it again. Hopefully I'll be a bit more prepared. I haven't been too prepared. Things seem to sort of go wrong on the streaming side. So apologies about that, everyone. At least I have the correct graphic up now. So we have everyone's right names there. So we will catch you guys all next week. Thanks again to Alwin Automotive Glass for always sponsoring us and making everything possible. And thank you to you guys. You guys make it all possible. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So congratulations on your podiums and for making it entertaining for all of us. Then let's
Thank
do
you.
a shout out from all of you guys before we leave. So Jason, would you like to do a shout out? Is Jason still here?
I'm still
Yeah.
I'm still here. Yeah, first of all the supporters back home in South Africa, parents, mom, dad, Mike, and obviously to our new team harder, Chrissy, let's do this, boy. Dennis, thanks once again, and to both Jandre and Jandre for giving us a good race, and looking forward to the next one.
Okay, thank you. And Yandre, any shout outs from your side?
Yeah, just to my teammates and everyone for joining. We had a lot of practice over the weekend. And for everyone supporting at home, thank you very much.
And Jandre, any shout outs from your side?
Yeah, just shout out to the team. In the beginning, I really struggled with this car. I couldn't get below a 205, and they gave me a couple tips to help me out. So yeah, thanks to them, and thank you to you for organizing this and picking a difficult car.
It's a pleasure. I'm sure some of the tracks will be a lot easier to drive and a bit more pleasurable. All right, thanks guys. I'm going to say good night then, and we're going to head off to a outro video. So thanks again, and we will catch you guys all next week for round 2.
Thank you.
So